ready to be brought out. What's up? What's up? First takes in the house. Let's go.
What is for you being the MVP?
It's an accomplishment that shows me that I'm doing a good job. I'd rather again win a championship than win an MVP.
This is very reminiscent of his childhood idol, Kobe Bryant.
The Phoenix Sun has buzzsawed the terrific Nuggets twice.
One team that wanted to be here and one team that did not want to be here, and that's why we got our kicked.
We're talking playoffs. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take. Thank you for being with us. He is Max Kellerman. That's Stephen A. Smith. I'm Molly Karen Rose. Gentlemen, you ready to do this? Let's go. Friday Eve. Nuggets coach Michael Malone calling out his team after their second lopsided loss in the series, a 25-point beatdown last night in Phoenix. A pretty serious accusation by Coach Malone. You'll hear that in a second. Meanwhile, CP3 feeling confident as his squad heads to Denver with a commanding series lead.
Depth and what everybody brings. Book scores in his sleep. He defends. He's one of the best two-way players in the league, and we feed off that. And then we got so many weapons. Jay is never fazed by anything. Take a big shot. He's going to defend whoever you ask him to. Mikal is like our unsung hero. Guards everybody, shot maker, drive, everything. And then DA, can't ask for more from somebody like him. Like he guards, he runs, he rebounds, he does everything. He's literally been our MVP in the postseason so far.
I saw one team that wanted to be here and play with a purpose and urgency, and one team that did not want to be here and play with no urgency. And that's why we got our kicked. There's a reason that their crowd is yelling Suns in 4 and they're calling for a sweep, because if we play like this back in Denver, this is going to be a really quick series.
The Nuggets looking like a one-man team last night. Jokic scored a game-high 24 points and almost outscored the rest of the Nuggets starters combined. More bad news for the Nuggets. Teams trailing 2-0 in a best-of-7 series have lost 93% of those series in NBA history. Max Kellerman, Is this more about good Suns or bad Nuggets?
It's bad Nuggets. It's bad Nuggets. And by the way, what has been the story of these playoffs really is we were wondering what's going to happen. COVID year, shortened preseason. It's a lot of games to play, compressed. Are injuries going to be a problem? Yes, injuries have been a problem. Injuries could wind up deciding these playoffs. Look at the Lakers. No AD at all. Limited LeBron. Of course the Lakers are going to lose. And look at Denver now. And I thought, Stephen A., that they could survive without Jamal Murray. Maybe even get out of the West. With Jamal Murray, I'd have picked them to get out of the West. But even without Jamal Murray, because they have a deep backcourt. But what happens? Will Barton's been out for a long time with the hamstring. So he is finally ready to come back. You know what that does? It throws off the rotation. Aaron Gordon's not the same because his minutes are messed. It throws everything off. And Michael Porter Jr., in the absence of Jamal Murray, needs to be the second option. And we've seen, when he's right, how deadly he can be scoring. He was not right. You saw him with the Raps at the end of game 1, and he was questionable for game 2 with what? With the back. What do you keep bringing up about Porter Jr.? That Jerry West passed not once but twice on this guy in the draft because of the back. But his talent is pitched so high, you got to roll the dice. That's what Denver did. And here's the downside. When his back is acting up, this is the Michael Porter Jr. you get. So now you have no Jamal Murray, no reliable second option because of Porter's back. Will Barton comes back. You're going to have to reintegrate him into the team. That's going to throw guys off like Aaron Gordon. Jokic, 24, 13, and 6, didn't even play the whole game, needs some help. I don't think it's an issue of quitting. I think it's an issue of playing on the road with a banged-up team. They better get healthy for home court because that's an advantage at altitude.
Well, first of all, you're wrong. And the reason why you're wrong is, number one, I don't believe that either of us are qualified to question Mark Malone when he's talking about whether or not the team quit. He would know. He coaches them. He's looking at them, and he sees how they customarily play. And then all of a sudden last night you wet the bed. By the way, or in the immediate aftermath of Jokic receiving the league MVP award. And so to know that your guy who's carried this team received that league MVP award with Adam Silver on the video screen and whatever while they was in their conference room in the hotel and all of this other stuff, and then to come out and play like that. It wasn't him that was playing bad. It was the guys around him playing bad. But the key stat and the key reason why the Phoenix Suns are up 2-0, what did they show at the beginning of this show? CP3. 26th assist and 1 turnover in the first 2 games. Why you think Crowder's looked good? Why you think Bridges has looked good? Why you think Cameron Payne, even coming off the bench to spell for CP3, has looked so good? DeAndre Ayton has looked good throughout these playoffs. It's about leadership, man. It's about floor generalship. It's about somebody that's directing traffic, dictating tempo, and doing those kind of things. That's what we're seeing from these Phoenix Suns. And again, it's about that crowd. Because I don't think you're going to see that happen in Denver. You ain't going to see Phoenix win like this in Denver. I'll bet the house it won't go down like that. That crowd in Phoenix, I cannot say enough. I mean, it is special. Utah was special the other night as well. Let's give them their props. But Phoenix and that crowd and what it does for this particular team, I've seen it many times in my career covering teams. You're in a completely different team on your home court than you are on the road. You feed off of it, particularly when you're young. And that's what this team is with the Aytons and Bookers and Bridges of the world. They're young. Crowder and CP3 have been there before. I mean, you know, if Crowder just was in the NBA Finals for crying out loud last season. I think when you look at it from that perspective, that's what I'm looking at right here. It was more about the Phoenix Suns and what they're able to do on their home court than what Denver did.
Well, Chris Paul's brilliant. And in fact, even his comments, Ayton is our MVP. No, he hasn't been, but he's pumping Ayton up. He's mentoring him and pumping him up because he needs him. He's showing real leadership on and off the court. It's not that the Suns aren't good. You knew coming in they were good. You knew coming into the season they were good. It's that Denver was going to need extra. They were going to have to be the best version of themselves to beat them on the road without Jamal Murray, with a compromised Porter, with Will Barton coming back, and the ripple effect that has on the rest of the rotation, including especially, I think, Aaron Gordon, who was off. That's what I mean by Denver wasn't good. They had to be a better version of themselves or a good version of themselves. They were a bad version of themselves. In terms of coach saying the team quit, yeah, you're right. Neither one of us are in a position to second guess him if he's seeing things like that. What I am questioning is whether he's trying to push their buttons. In other words, he needs more out of them. What they're giving him is not enough, and he's trying to push their buttons publicly so they respond.
They got their ass kicked.
Of course.
And you asked them 5-10 minutes after the game what happened. They got their ass kicked. I mean, ain't no.
But that's different than saying quitting.
Excuse, well, to him, it wasn't. Because listen, they've lost before convincingly in a regular season game here or there, whatever. He has never seen this team perform so putridly as they did last night in a playoff game. So you got to pay attention to that because you know what they're supposed to be bringing. And then you got young cats out there running them out of the state, not even out of the building, out of the state. How the hell does that happen? Because you got to remember what they did in the second half of game one, how they came at them. You see these guys just go to another level, and Denver's not responding with the level of passion and tenacity that we're accustomed to seeing them do, even without Jamal Murray.
Okay, I think that's fair, but I think it's also fair to second-guess coach. In other words, I know he didn't have any good options. Whatever he was going to choose is a bad option. Do I play an injured player? Do I rest him this game? It's not good. But what he chose to do was play Porter on the road. Obviously, he wasn't right. Rather than giving him that game off, maybe integrating Barton that way, giving him more minutes maybe, and then having a more healthy Porter for game 3. It's not that you say bad coach, right? Because who knows how this stuff goes. But he didn't have good options. But he did make a choice that appears to, in retrospect, have been the wrong one.
Well, you can say he made a wrong choice, but he's talking about the team and their collective effort. And I think what we've seen from Malone over the last couple of years, he's proven to be an exceptional coach. The man knows what he's doing. And I give him a lot of credit in terms of having the pulse of his team. He usually never misses a beat when it comes to that. So if that man sits there and tells me, you know what, this is how we played, and there was an absence of passion and we gave up, etc. And if we play like this is going to be a short series. I'm going to listen to that man because I've seen Denver repeatedly overachieve with him on that coaching side.
Glad he's conceding the argument, Molly. It was bad Nuggets.
All right, let's move on, guys, because there's another matchup out west. Game 1, Donovan Mitchell went off, scoring. The Clippers PG-13 took a lot of heat for not showing up until that fourth quarter. Stephen A, so who's the most important player for this Clippers-Jazz series?
Same person that was the most important player of the first game, Donovan Mitchell. I told y'all he's a superstar. I told you he was going to show up in game 1 and show that he was a superstar. Playing opposite Paul George and Kawhi Leonard because that's the last thing left to cement how special this dude Donovan Mitchell is. He is a special, special brother. And the fact that Dwayne Wade is sitting courtside and during games, he's talking to Dwayne Wade because Dwayne Wade might see something he hasn't seen. Let's keep in mind that we're talking about a guy in Dwayne Wade that's one of the top 5 off guards in the history of basketball. Since Naismith invented the game, top 5 off guard. That's how special Dwayne Wade is. That's the guy that's sitting courtside as a part owner that you are walking over and talking to while the game is going on, in terms of little nuggets here and there, what he's seeing compared to what you're seeing. That's a beautiful position for Donovan Mitchell to be in. But then when you combine that with the fact there's a jump shot, there's a game where you can drive to the basket, there's a mid-range game, there's an NBA body with strength. He can get to the hole. You can't push him around. Then you take into account the heart that he brings to the table. You're talking about Kawhi Leonard and Paul George going up against a challenge that's even a bit different than Luka Doncic, because with Luka Doncic, you didn't have help. Donovan Mitchell's got help, not just offensively, he's got help defensively. And when you think about all of that and the freedom that he has because of it to bring what he brings to the table, the Clippers are not winning this series unless they stop that man. If they don't stop him, they got no shot. They going home.
Donovan Mitchell, by the way, had 57 and 51 in the same series last year. Like, oh, he's 45. That's nothing. 57 and 51.
But remember what Jamal Murray did, too.
Oh, no question. But, like, Donovan Mitchell's a dude who steps up. He's normally excellent, and when it matters most, he's an all-time great. But he's not the most important player in this series. We already knew that about him. Of course the Nuggets are going to need that from him. Of course the Jazz are going to need that from him. We saw it in game 1, and they still barely won when Gobert got his fingertip on a shot that looked good to me from Monty Morris. Look, the answer is Paul George, Stephen A. You see what Donovan Mitchell did? You see why you're raving about him? It's not because of what he does in the regular season where he's excellent. It's because of what he just did. It's because of what he did last year with the chips on the line. He becomes a superstar if you think he's already a super duper star. What's Paul George do? Paul George goes from an all-star to something less than that. Even in game 1, they had no chance to win when Paul George wasn't scoring at all. He came alive in the fourth quarter, dropped like 13 of his 20 in the fourth quarter. They had a chance. But let me ask you something. Is 20 good for Paul George? I mean, when you think of Paul George, you think 22, 25 points, something like that, just normally, right? Real good defense. Where is his 22, 25 points and real good defense? Stephen A, at least. Can he just at least stay himself in the playoffs? This is not a dude who relies on deception or playing against second units or anything like that. He's not Euro-stepping his way to success. He's a tall athlete who can run and jump and defend and shoot. He knows, he has the ability that should play up in the playoffs. And if he plays up in the playoffs and is an actual 2 to Kawhi's 1, the Clippers can win. And if he doesn't, they can't. They can't win.
This is the nauseating and pathetic part of your arguments. Talking basketball with you sometimes is the most excruciating thing going on.
Losing arguments is never fun.
Well, I'm glad you think I lose. When I lose to you, I'll let you know. It's never happened. Here's the deal. It's amazing to me. I used to bring up the Greek freak. So much so, the Thursday to the Monday, I totally forgot. That wasn't only when you did that, too. He also did that to Kawhi Leonard. And see, Molly, he makes these arguments because that's the way for Max to gloss over and go away from the level of attention that he brought to Kawhi Leonard. Now, let's be clear. Kawhi Leonard was big time in Game 6 and 7 against Dallas. And he showed up. And we all know that Kawhi Leonard is a top 5 player. But it was this man across from us that called them number one. It was this man that ignored the leadership role that you're supposed to play when you want to be the face of the franchise and you want to hold the franchise hostage and say, excuse me, trade the farm in order to get that guy, Paul George. Listen, trade the farm in order to get that guy, Paul George. He didn't say, or else I'm not coming. He said, or else I'm going to the Lakers, where Anthony Davis and LeBron James were already was. That's why I use the word hostage, because obviously if you're the Clippers and you think you got a chance, you can't sit around and do nothing and watch the Lakers get LeBron, AD, and Kawhi Leonard. You never have a chance in that city. So with all of those things being considered, I totally understand that Paul George has to step up. He's got to shoot better than 417. He hit a couple of big shots. He hit a big three, hit a pull-up 19-foot jump shot in a waning moments. I understand that Paul George needs to do more than shoot 417. But Kawhi Leonard had 23, shooting 9 of 19 from the field in the same game that Donovan Mitchell dropped 32 in the second half and finished with 45. I'm sorry, Mr. Load Management. This is a guy, Kawhi Leonard, that averaged, to his credit, 39 minutes a game. The year they won in the playoffs with Toronto, he averaged 39 minutes a game. He doesn't miss playoff games, and he puts in his minutes. But the point is, those numbers, who am I looking to, particularly when the fourth quarter rolls around, to shut down a Donovan Mitchell or to match him tip for tat?
Superstars.
Isn't that Kawhi Leonard?
Even superstars.
Isn't that Kawhi Leonard?
Even superstars have bad games in a series or games that are not up to their standard. We saw it in the first series with Kawhi. He had a couple games where you were sitting here saying, Kawhi, what you going to do? Right. And what did he do in Game 6 and 7?
Yeah, but what did you do?
He is a two-time Finals MVP. Not one, two-time, with two different franchises, in two different roles, Finals MVP. So can he have a game that you say, Kawhi, we need more? Yeah. But by and large, Kawhi Leonard shows up. His track record in the playoffs is among the best ever. Okay? Paul George is not. Right. Paul George is consistently a lesser version of himself.
Yeah, but your argument is different from mine. You're talking about what Paul George needs to do. I'm saying Paul George can shoot 417, drop 20 points, and if Kawhi does what he's supposed to do, they still win the game.
No,
they still win the game. They still win the game. Let me tell you something right now. This is the time you sit up there and you talk about Kawhi Leonard and what your expectations are of him. But when he was struggling, you wasn't the one calling him out. That was me. Hold up. I was the one saying, what you gonna do? You were the one. You were the one still saying he's Kawhi. I'm saying Jamal Murray dropped 40 on you in a Game 7. A series that you lost.
That's the one series ever where Kawhi didn't come through in Game 7.
Donovan Mitchell just dropped 45.
So what you going to do? You're asking Kawhi.
What you going to do? I don't want to hear Paul George. I want to hear Kawhi.
Fair enough, but that's all I'm saying. Based on Kawhi's track record, is there suspicion that he's going to do something or not in this series?
Well, it's my suspicion that he might not match Donovan Mitchell. That's my suspicion.
If Paul George,
if you want to use the word suspicion.
Let me be very clear. If Paul George can't at least be his normal self, the Clippers don't have a chance to win. If he can at least be his normal self, the Clippers can get out of the West.
All right, Max is saying it's more about Paul George, Stephen A. Kawhi, and Kawhi can't keep up with Donovan Mitchell at this point. We'll keep it rolling here, guys. When we come back, this Nets-Bucks series hasn't really lived up to the hype. No James Harden, no problem. KD and Kyrie combined for 54 en route to a 39-point demolition in Game 2. Harden can't go tonight either for Game 3 as the series shifts now to Milwaukee. This brought up all sorts of nostalgic feels 2 years ago on this very date. Max Kellerman with this memorable tape.
Ah, yes, it's time again for On This Day in Smithsbury.
You know what? Apologize for that. Apologize for that. Apologize for that. Hold on, right here. Stay with me, Jay. Apologize for that on national television right now. When you compare the Greek Freak to KD. Apologize right now. Greek Freak is better than KD.
What are you? Max, stop! This has been another installment of On This Day in Smithsbury. Now, back to you, First Take.
There's a very simple explanation for that. It appears I was very wrong. He was the MVP at the time. He was the best offensive and defensive player in the league. Didn't play in the playoffs. His style of play doesn't play in the playoffs. I was wrong.
It's just. Okay. Let's give Max credit for admitting that he's wrong. Something you do often. But nevertheless, you deserve credit.
Bring up old stuff all the time. I don't.
It's just for credit. The thing that amazes me, that I'm still trying to figure out, when was there ever a moment that the Greek freak with those Beetlejuice eyes of yours, ever, he was better than KD?
When he was winning the MVP of the regular season.
Even then he wasn't better.
Why did he win MVP?
Time.
KD played the season.
You will concede that there have been times, many times, where, you bring up, others have brought up the eye test, because when it comes to eye test, you should be winning every contest. We all know this, right? So when you talk about the eye test, we ain't talking about numbers. We're not even talking about trophies, because sometimes the most valuable player, like, if you're playing on a bomb squad and Greek Freak has no help, then he's obviously more valuable to his team, and I get that. The point that I'm making is I'm talking about watching the actual players and their actual skill set win.
That year during the regular season.
There was not
that year
ever,
during the regular season.
Has the Greek Freak ever had a jump shot?
No.
Then how?
I will tell you how. I will tell you how.
Go
Why
ahead.
do you think Shaq said, finally, for the first time, that's the dude you can give the Superman name?
Why did he say that?
Why did he say that?
Did you tell me? I got a question. Did you speak to Shaq?
Because.
Did you speak to Shaq? Did he tell you why?
I think we did have him on the show. I think we brought that up, as a matter of fact, but I don't remember. Yeah, go ahead.
The day he said that, I called him. I said, what the hell was that about? What did you mean by that? Look, man, I'm not talking about skill, overall skill. I'm just talking about domination.
Right.
I'm just talking about domination.
I got to do him like that with that imitation.
That's what he meant by Superman.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Imposing dominance.
He imposed himself that entire regular season.
Yes, he did.
Because there was really no way to stop him the way they were defending him. So he looked like a cross between Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal. He was dominating everybody. He was dunking on everybody. He was even taking the ball up. He was passing the ball. He was grabbing rebounds.
I'd like to repeat it.
Now,
repeat what he said.
That's what he looked like that year. During the regular season.
Repeat what he just said. I just want to make sure. I heard, because sometimes I ignore him because I can't take it.
That's right.
What did he say, Miley? What did he say?
Right. I can't speak. A cross between Michael Jordan
That's what he looked like in the regular
and
season.
Shaquille O'Neal.
That's what he looked like in the regular season.
I got to listen to this.
No, you can't take a break.
Now.
You cannot take a break.
That's what he looked like in the regular season. That's the reason he was MVP, and it was undisputed. That dude was the best in the league. In the playoffs, he got exposed. The jump shot hurt him. Because they'd wall off, and that would be the end of that. He couldn't hit from the outside.
Do you know of it?
That's all. That's what happened.
I know you think you're brilliant and all of this stuff to the point where you don't have to listen to any damn body. But let me ask you this question. Is there anybody that by some slight chance, because he plays the night, damn it.
That's
why. Against KD. That's why. Okay,
that's why.
I can't
it was a mystery, but now it's Smithstery.
There's a lot of segments happening. I'm into it.
Yeah.
By chance, I'm assuming that you at least pay attention to other basketball analysts, aficionados, stuff like that. Have you ever heard one person say that the Greek Freak was better?
I don't care about what other people say.
I asked the question.
I don't remember.
Did I ask you?
I have no memory of hearing that or not. Why would I care? Why would I remember that?
Oh, really? So you would. So in other words, I just want to be very clear.
Yeah.
Because see, when we hold you accountable, when you go oops and then you try to avoid a subject, or when you hide under the camera, when you get exposed, and stuff like this is one of those moments. You got an opportunity while the camera's rolling on you, Max. Do you understand at the desk you got an opportunity to hide under the desk because you said
what is wrong with you?
You do have an opportunity to hide under the desk.
Let me ask you something.
There's no one ever that said the Greek Freak
Except for everyone who voted on the MVP award that year.
Hold on. You've openly admitted. Well, Steve, you've openly admitted there's been plenty of times where Michael Jordan didn't win league MVP with somebody.
That was not because of the same reason. No. When they didn't give it to Jordan or LeBron, they do it because they have fatigue giving them the award. They gave it to Giannis because he was the best player that year.
They gave it to Giannis because his numbers were astronomical and he was the most valuable player for his team. It didn't mean he was better. Let me put it this way.
If Giannis had done in the playoffs what he'd done in the regular season, he'd have been the best player in the game. The reason he's not is because he couldn't.
Giannis
didn't play in the playoffs.
Giannis can average.
Pretty simple.
Giannis right now can average 40 a game. 40! And no one would still say he's better than KD.
If Giannis had the success in the playoffs he's had in the regular season, everyone would say he's the best player in the world.
I apologize.
He has not been able to replicate it in the playoffs. And yes, the jump shot has been a problem.
I apologize. My bad, because I'm not going to be upset. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to be upset. And the reason I'm not going to be upset because, as Lawrence Fishburne once said in a movie, when you don't know, you don't know. It's
I'm glad you're admitting that.
When it comes to him.
Good. I'm glad you're admitting
he doesn't get it. And I can't. America, I tried. Basketball people everywhere. It's moments like this.
If Giannis
you should hide under the table.
You
should hide under the table.
If Giannis, the two-time
under the table.
If Giannis, the two-time MVP, had replicated his regular season success in the playoffs, he'd be the best player in the game.
I'll be cool.
He has been unable to do so, so he's not.
You have zapped my enthusiasm to talk basketball with you with your flagrant ignorance. I'm going to be here. I'll listen.
Was Shaq ever the most skilled player in the game? I'm sorry, was Shaq ever the most skilled player in the game? But he was the best at one point, wasn't he? But he could do it in the playoffs.
I enjoyed Smith's story. I enjoyed it. I just want to say that. I like the graphics, the whole
So do I. I love it.
Cool.
And by the way, Shaq was the most dominant, never the best.
What we did.
Oh, really? Shaq was never the best player in the game?
No.
Shaq was never the best player in the game.
Oh, yes, he was the most dominant.
Yes, he was. He was the best player in the game.
Okay.
All right, I got someone else for you to talk hoops with. How does that sound?
Sure.
We mentioned it all show. You will not want to miss Quavo coming on the show. He's going to address his Hawks and his feud with Big Perk. Must-see TV.
He is going to speak.
That's the point of all this, because that ain't happening. No, they're not the champs.
I get bold, too. If you put $1 billion in my pocket, I tell you, I get real bold then.
New number, hopefully no new problems. LeBron will be changing from number 23 to number 6 on his uniform next season. He originally planned to switch back to number 6 in the summer of 2019 when the Lakers acquired Anthony Davis because the big man had worn number 23 his entire career with New Orleans. However, Davis will remain number 3 despite LeBron's change. This calls for the battle, our new segment where both Stephen A and Max have 30 seconds to battle over what's better, LeBron at 6 or 23.
You want some of this? Bring it on. You want some of this? Bring it on. You want some of this? Bring it on. Step into me, kid, then you gone.
Max Kell, you want some of this? You're up first. Let's go.
Number 6 is the answer. And I'll be even more specific than that, Stephen A. I'll say the 12-13 season. That's his 3rd season in Miami. LeBron James' 2nd championship in Miami was the best version of LeBron James. Number 1, he was in his physical prime. That was his age 27, 28-year-old season, playing for a Pat Riley culture team, Eric Spoelstra as head coach. The level of intensity that LeBron played with that season, wire to wire, both ends of the floor, required him to be in his physical prime.
I disagree with you. To me, it was when he won the championship in Cleveland. And he beat the 73-win Golden State Warriors. That's what I'm paying attention to right here. I'm thinking about the numbers, but not just that. I'm thinking about his leadership. Remember, when he was in Miami, he had to learn to win. He had D-Wade and Pat Riley, who had to teach him how to elevate his level of play mentally, not just physically. When he arrived in Cleveland, he was the clear leader. He was the guy that came back from a 3-1 deficit to knock off a 73-win team. His leadership ability, no question about his ability to close, was there. He wasn't shy about going to the free throw line or anything else. Plus, he was still shooting Jays and he was still getting to the basket. I'm going to go with that second version.
Number 2 was his defense that year. LeBron James, and he'd already learned how to lead, Stephen A, by then, right? This was his 3rd year in Miami I'm talking about. LeBron James's defense his third year in Miami, that second championship, when I think of the greatest defensive players of all time, he comes to mind because of the defense he played that year. You talk about guys who could legit guard 5 positions. LeBron could guard everyone. And every position at almost an elite level. 260 pounds, 6'8" with a wingspan, but could also put him on a point guard.
I get where you're coming from. I just disagree because I think moments matter in basketball when you're that great. And even though he had 37 and 15 in the Game 7, it shouldn't have got to a Game 7. But Greg Popovich decided to bench Tim Duncan in the key play. They get the offensive rebound. You're the Miami Heat. Chris Bosh kicks it out to Ray Allen, and Ray Allen saves LeBron from losing yet another championship. So I'm not going with that at all. I'm still going to go back to what he did that year. They beat Golden State. Leadership did matter, and he wasn't the leader then. Even though Dwayne Wade conceded a lot to him, he didn't elevate to the point that he got to once he was in Cleveland.
Number 3, his efficiency that year. It's not just the eyeball test. You know how old he is. He's in his physical prime. You could see him playing defense and all that. It's actually also the numbers. It's not your imagination that he was hitting the 3 better than at any point in his career. He shot better than 40% for the only time in his career from 3. He was hitting 75-something% of his free throws. He was 57% from the field. That was the most efficient version of LeBron ever. So he's in his physical prime. He's playing defense as well as almost anyone who's ever lived. And it's his most efficient offensive season.
Well, you're looking at him as an individual. And again, this is why I disagree with you. That's why LeBron James said he'll take his older self any day against his younger self, because his mind got sharp and he knew what to do, how to conserve himself, how not to expend so much getting individual numbers, that it was at the sacrifice of the team. And by the way, that was the last time, the year I'm talking about when they beat Golden State, the last time I remember LeBron James shooting better than 73% for the free throw line, to be quite honest with you. So I look at it from that perspective. And again, I'm looking at his decision-making, his leadership, his willingness to shoot free throws, not being scared to take the ball in the paint, be a bit more physical and savvy. All those things made him more impressive.
Out of time. Let's pull up the graphic. We'll show the reasons each guys, and we'll let the folks at home decide based on the battle who won it, whether it's Max or Stephen A. You can hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Do we have that graphic? I don't think we have it yet. We'll work on that and get it set for you guys next time. Good stuff. All right, that'll do it here. When we come back, the Game 3 will have to rise to the occasion to avoid going out sad. Stephen A., how much pressure is on Giannis tonight? Oh, Kendrick Perkins is here, too. What up, Big Perk? Been teasing you all show.
Hey,
we got the main event right now. We'll get you in on this, too. But, Stephen A., where are you? How much pressure is on Giannis?
I'll make this quick because I want to hear from Big Perk. I think there's immense pressure on Giannis Antetokounmpo. We've been talking so much about this man over the last few years, and it's legit. He is big time. The numbers speak for themselves. He is a 2-time league MVP. Let's give him his respect. But with that respect comes great responsibility. You can't get smoked the way that he's been smoked. You can't get outshined the way that he's gotten outshined. And you can't look helpless as he looked in Game 2 when you call yourself that dude and championships have evaded you, or even a trip to the finals has evaded you. It is immense pressure because if he gets blown away in this series, we'll never talk about him in the same light again. And on top of it all, he's going to cause his coach, Mike Budenholzer, to lose his job.
I can't disagree with that. It's one thing to say he's got to bring his team to victory because, as I keep saying, great bigs need a little more than great wings because they can't get their own shots the same way. They don't control the offense the same way. And I don't think Giannis has enough around him, and I didn't think to begin the season. But one thing is true. He can't go out soft. He's got to go out at least doing damage to the extent that he can do it. This is a dude who in the regular season scores on average almost 30 points a game with 13, 14 boards, 5, 6 assists, blocks, everything you want, plays defense. You can't tell me that because they changed the defensive scheme, you wind up with 18 points in the playoffs when your teammates aren't producing especially. So whether or not he has to lead his team to victories, that's a separate subject. I don't think that means Giannis isn't great if he can't do that. But he's got to play like a superstar when they need him most. There is absolutely pressure for him to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's under a lot of pressure, and we're not going to let him off the hook, okay? Just like we will hold any other guy that won 2 MVPs or any other guy that won the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year, like Akeem Olajuwon or Michael Jordan. And I'm looking at this Giannis and KD matchup right now, and KD is showing him that it's levels to this. It's levels to this, and that you're not on my level. And I'm going to show it and prove it to you on both ends of the floor. And what I'm noticing right now is it takes you back to when KD was in Golden State. And he was going against LeBron James and the Cavaliers. And we all know that the Golden State Warriors had the upper hand because of the personnel that they had around them. But we also was monitoring the KD and LeBron going back and forth. And when you look at KD, he came out victorious because obviously they won the championship. Obviously, he won the Finals MVP. But when you go back and look at LeBron James' numbers and what he was doing against that Golden State Warriors team, no one could argue and say he didn't go down swinging or he didn't do his job or hold up his end of the bargain for us going head-to-head with Kevin Durant. Right now, we're saying it's night and day. And right now, I already put Giannis on my all-NBA, he is who he is team, okay? He's already on there. He is who he is. And I don't know if he could get better. I don't know if he could show us anything that he could do to upgrade his game, to show us that he's on this level or ready for this moment when it comes down to him and Kevin Durant.
Bottom line is this, it's expectations. We've been talking about this man for years. Kendrick Perkins was right with everything that he said. He just left out something. The man has never been to a finals, let alone won a championship. You've never been there. So all of this acclaim, all of these accolades and everything like that, everybody been gassing him up. I told you years ago, he has no perimeter shot. And as long as he has no perimeter shot, you're going to get exposed come playoff time. And he's proven me right every single time. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to now. You playing across from Kevin Durant, the greatest offensive weapon in the game. And this dude is giving it to you. It's not like, we got to remember this is important. Nobody's asked Greek Freak about this. Max, he's 6'11". He's 240 pounds.
And Diesel, too. He's thin, but he's strong.
He's agile and mobile. If anybody was supposed to have a chance to guard KD, it was him. You pointed out the other week, Max, who was it that blocked KD's shot when KD pulled up from the right wing a few weeks ago before the regular season had ended? And you said, how many people could do that to KD? Well, he's one of them. Well, why is KD giving it to you? Giannis, you got to respond to that.
I'm not arguing.
You got to stand up and answer that.
I don't think they can win. I never thought they could win. I didn't think they have a chance.
It's not about winning. It's about how he plays.
But I can't argue when you focus on Giannis. He's got to bring it. I'm not debating that. There's no debate.
That's all I'm saying, KP. You got to stand up and go like this. I'm not hating. Listen, y'all can take advantage of Drew Holiday. You can take advantage of Chris Middleton or somebody else. But you come my way, I'm going to handle my business. That's what Giannis is supposed to do. That's what superstars do.
Yeah, I mean, if you got any type of pride about yourself, and this is the argument that I was having last year when they were like, oh, yeah, Giannis is the defensive player of the year. I said with my eyes, and I said it on this show with you and Max and Molly, I said it. Look, Giannis don't guard anybody. Like we get amazed and we look at how he's able to chase down blocks and have those chase down blocks and block shots off the help side and weak side that we forget to show us what our eyes are seeing. Well, our eyes are seeing that he don't guard nobody. Like right now,
like
this
Ben
is the
Simmons.
time.
Ben Simmons
for
guards
example,
people. Yeah.
Right now, he guards people. So right now, Stephen A. Max, check this out. Say Giannis don't have his jump shot working, right? He don't have it working. At the end of the day, Kevin Durant can't be dropping 32 points on 16 shots,
right there, KP.
And you're the reigning defensive player of the year.
Stop right there. I want to end this segment by bringing up Jalen Rose. Okay. Jalen Rose gave exceptional analysis the other day when he pointed out Kyrie Irving pulls up for a J. Mm-hmm. Okay? KD shakes you down and does this. Blake Griffin dunks.
Posterized.
All three plays were on Giannis. He was the defender on all 3 plays. Just want to point that out.
All right. Do we have time? Because I wanted to get in one more question if we do. I think we're okay. So, Max, I want to come to you on this because I wanted to ask you this earlier. Where would the Bucks be if KD and Giannis swap teams?
Well, they'd be better off because it is obvious that KD is the better player. But they wouldn't win. It's not like they're going to win a championship if you swap these guys and now the Bucks or the Nets or anything like that. Here is the problem. Giannis is a big, right? So if Giannis went to Brooklyn, they'd still be a power. Giannis with Kyrie is like a mini Shaq Kobe situation. Bigs like Giannis, and Stephen A identified this right a couple years ago. Giannis is a big, really, dressed up as a wing. Bigs, because they can't get their own shot the same way, because they don't shoot usually from the outside the same way, need a guy on their level to win. Well, everyone needs someone to win. No, not the same thing. Scottie Pippen wasn't on Michael Jordan's level, and they just totally dominated, right? Dwayne Wade's great. He's not LeBron James. They dominated. But dudes like Shaq needed Wade at his best and Kobe in his prime. That's what a big needs. Kareem at his best need Oscar Robertson and Magic Johnson. He needs a cat like him, right? Kyrie is a cat like that. If he was on the Nets, Giannis was on the Nets, no, they wouldn't be as good as they are with KD. But with Kyrie and Blake, let alone if Harden was there, they'd still be dominant. KD with Middleton and Drew Holiday would be better than the Bucks are now, but that's still not a championship team.
Well, first of all, you're wrong, but that's like saying the sky is blue. Nothing's new there. Here's the bottom line. When you look at Kevin Durant, and you look at what he brings to the table, what I would ask you to do, Mac, rhetorically, not requiring a response, is to go back to game 1. Game 1 was a significantly closer. If that's KD on the Milwaukee Bucks with Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, it would be 1-1 at the very least. They would play differently. And the reason why they would play differently is because now you're calling on them to do their job, but you're not, as you would point out, Max, that absence of a bona fide big 2, big 3, that's not necessarily required, because what would happen is KD can close because he can hit shots from the perimeter. As a result, now I'm looking at Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, and what I'm asking for you is something different. I'm not asking you to elevate your level of play to a stratosphere that you're unfamiliar with. All I'm asking you to do is your job. If you're Chris Middleton, give me 20 plus on 45%.
The series would be locked up.
Hold on.
They still lose.
We heard you. 45% shooting. That's what I'm asking for you. If I'm Drew Holiday, defend and give me 18 to 20.
Sure.
And by the way, give it to KD. The problem is they know they got to be more because the Greek freak is limited and they can't do that.
Perk, before we get to you real quick, Stephen A, I agree to be 1-1. Are you saying if they swap teams, the Bucks would win the series?
I think they could, yes.
No.
Yes.
Go ahead, Perk.
No, I'm saying it. If you swap Giannis and KD, the Bucks will win this series. And Max, the only reason that you're not agreeing with it is because of the James Harden situation, but I'm not going to bring that up. But look, if you put KD on the Bucks, to Stephen A. Smith's point, which he was right, and I'm going to elevate it even more. Okay, you put KD on the Bucks, and what ended up happening? Not all the attention is on Kevin Durant. So now you have Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday and PJ Tucker and all these guys taking what? Uncontested shots. You know why? Because you have to put so much attention on Kevin Durant. You think it's a reason why Blake Griffin is getting wide open threes. It's a reason why Blake Griffin is getting wide open dunks. It's a reason why Bruce Brown is getting wide open floaters in the lane. It's because of the attention that Kevin Durant demands every time he's on the court or every time he's on the offensive end. So he's going to make that Bucks team better. And also, we don't give KD enough credit for his defense. His defense has been spectacular. So you take KD and you put him on this Bucks, the Bucks will win this series with this supporting cast that they have, that Giannis has right now.
Westbrook and Ibaka wasn't enough for KD, but these dudes are.
All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Perk, you're sticking around. We got Quavo joining us on the other side. We're looking forward to that. More First Take in just a second. You don't want to miss this. Talking Atlanta, talking a little Twitter beef with my guy Perk. What's happening? Quavo next, right here. Here he is. We finally got him. Quavo joining the show. So good to have you with us. I feel like we've been talking about you all week. The takes you got on Stephen A's World, just repping your Hawks. You got the new album coming out, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm just here kicking it. I ain't getting no rest right now because it's album time and we locking down the mixes and doing everything. But I'm excited. Culture 3 drop tomorrow, and I'm just kicking it.
Had the
How y'all
hottest
doing?
sports takes all week.
Yeah.
Quavo had the hottest sports takes all week.
Let's get into it. Let's get into some of those takes. Appreciate you making some time with all the promotional stuff going on. Talk to me about your Hawks, tied 1-1 with the Sixers now, Game 3 in Atlanta. How you feeling, sir?
We feeling good. I'm feeling good, especially and we in Atlanta, so I think we can take another one. We stole one. Every time I feel like we steal one, I think we'll be all right at home because it's very tough to come to the crib, especially if I'm there and Atlanta fans and Atlanta Hawks fans filling up the stadium talking all that good stuff. So I think we'll get it.
Well, you got me good, my brother. You got me good because you came on Stephen A's World and you reminded me, you understand, that I was wrong about my Knicks and all of that other stuff, and I had to humble myself. I appreciate it. But I did tell you that y'all were going to lose Game 2. Now, I do recall mentioning that to you. So when you saw what transpired in Game 2, are you a little bit worried now that the Philadelphia defense may have figured y'all out to some degree?
Not really. I think we got to live with it. You know what I'm saying? Once you shoot the basketball like that so good, you got to live by the 3 or die by the 3. And I think we just had a bad night when the basket is closed sometimes. But when you're shooting that ball, sometimes you get the best of, sometimes you get the worst of. And we're not gonna steal 2 in Philly. Long as we get one, we did our job, and I think we're gonna be all right in Atlanta.
Now, Trey, of course, was acquired in a trade. You guys got an extra first rounder and Trey Young essentially for Luka. And for a while, it looked like, that's not good. What has Trey Young proved in these playoffs to you?
I always believed in him. I wanted to get him as soon as we drafted Luka. I was just like, let's get him. But I ain't know how much influence I had. But I was just proud of just getting Trey Young to Atlanta Hawks, and I already knew what he could do. I just feel like he just needed some pieces and needed that confidence. And once he felt the city was behind him and that believed in him, and all his teammates believed him, I think he started like really cranking up around about second year, third year. Now he on his 4th year or his 3.5. I don't know if the bubble count, but you know what I'm saying? I think he'd be all right his 3rd year. He feeling himself right now.
You know your basketball. You follow this team. Talk to us about how you feel about the job Nate McMillan has done. I happen to know that he's already reached a contract agreement. Whether they announce it or not, he's going to be there for years to come. He's got a contract extension. How do you feel about the job Nate McMillan has done as the coach? And what were y'all feeling when they let go of Lloyd Pierce and had to elevate Nate McMillan?
I feel like Nate doing a good job. He keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? I can tell by the rotations. You know what I'm saying? Too many turnovers, too many mishaps on the court. He gonna take you out the game and put the best guys was fit. And I feel like he kind of like calmed down Trey from shooting from half court and shooting all over the place and just let him, you know what I'm saying, use his inside game with the floater. And if he got the open shot, shoot it. And that's what I like in this game that's evolved now with Nate. But I feel like before he would like come down the court and just, you know what I'm saying, take shots that he ain't need to, and sometimes it'll cost us going down 5, going down 10 sometimes, and minus the turnovers and stuff like that. So I feel like he can control that. He controlled that and kind of like coach that out of him. And I feel like right now he gonna graduate into like, you know what I'm saying, shooting the ball when he need to.
Quavo, frequent caller to my radio show, Richard from Manhattan, brought this up the other day. I want to ask you about it. For all the way that Atlanta will rally around certain athletes, the fact is, between the Falcons, the Braves, and the Hawks, you guys have one chip. It's like the most under-the-radar story in sports. One. That was the Braves, and they were great every year. Do you think Trey Young can bring, forget about being a good team, a powerhouse making a run, can you win a championship with Trey Young as your best player?
I believe we can win a championship with Trey Young as point guard. I feel like we need something else with the help. You know what I'm saying? I feel like everybody be like they one piece away. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I honestly feel like we one piece away to like competing. But right now we doing our job, and I think we'll sneak in a little bit closer. But I believe in my boys, and I got faith in them. But I feel like, you know what I'm saying, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit with them, but it's a tough game out there, especially them Brooklyn Nets. I feel like if we take this one home in Brooklyn the last task.
Yeah, one piece away to really contend.
Realistic.
Yeah. He called the Atlanta Hawks Splash Brothers East.
I love it.
I mean, you came on that.
I love it.
I remember that. I told
Splash
everybody you
Brothers
told
of
me
the
that.
South. Yes, sir.
That's right.
I love it. That's good.
Southeast, yeah.
And now the other thing that's good with Culture 3, you can get people hyped because of your new record out tomorrow. And I just want to mention Drake's on there. Tell me if I'm missing anyone. Cardi. You got Justin Bieber, Love the Biebs, Pop Smoke, rest in peace. So looking forward to that. Yeah, got everybody. We all need some new music, right, after this pandemic. So that comes out Culture 3 tomorrow. Quavo, talk to me about this. My guy, Big Perk, here at ESPN now. You guys got this little beef going on Twitter. What's it all about?
I don't got no beef with him. He must have felt some type of way when I dropped them bars. And ever since then, he was saying my bars was weak, and I only was just stating facts.
Okay.
But they were facts that led to his response. Right? Like you could choose a lot of different facts. Why choose facts on Perk?
Yeah.
When I was doing my solo album, I was actually watching the finals, and my boy Big Perk had a suit on, man. When you was arguing and going at it with my boy Drake, I felt like, and that was the Cleveland finals, and you didn't really play like that, Perk. You didn't. And you wanted to argue, you wanted to fight, you cause so much chaos. If you ain't playing, and that's the moral of the story, and that's our tradition. Like if you ain't playing, you shouldn't be trying to fight.
Well. First of all, let me set you straight on the story. I was minding my business and having a conversation with one of my former teammates in Serge Ibaka, having a little fun with him at the time, and Drake had to interact with the conversation and shoot something my way. And where I'm from in Beaumont, Texas, in the country, we don't care about names. We don't care about none of that. You shoot something my way, I'm going to address you like the numbers on the house. And now let me address you with your comments talking about getting no playing time, Kendrick Perkins. Okay, at the time I wasn't. I was the 14, 15 man on the bench in my 13th year. But when I was putting in work, you probably still had Similac on your breath when I was helping the Celtics go to the finals during that time.
But you also
Hold on. But look, so I took it. So look, at the end of the day, go pull it up. Go put in crucial games. Game 7, I came out with 13, 10, and 5 against your Hawks when they had ISO Joe when they took us to Game 7. That's facts. And in the Eastern Conference Finals, when they needed me the most, I stepped up my game against Detroit Pistons in a few games. I could pull up one, for example, where I had 16, 15, and 7 blocks. So at the end of the day, when I was putting in work, I was doing my thing. So I get it, and I was cool with it. But I grew up in the era where...
Let me speak.
Go ahead, Quavo.
Also, you let the Lakers steal one when you weren't supposed to be hurt. You remember that?
No, but I'm saying I tore my ACL. How can I control that? We all know that the Boston Celtics, we all know that the Boston...
If ESPN gonna put AD in a wheelchair every time in the playoffs, why not do Big Perk like that?
Hey, hold on, time out. How am I going to play on the tour and ACL?
Everybody roast everybody in the playoffs who get hurt. Everybody roast AD when he get hurt.
Fellas, can we
not Big Perk when he get hurt? Everybody got to feel sad for Big Perk.
Hey, listen, I don't care. I got tough skin. I'm not even tripping on that. But at the end of the day, I grew up in Beaumont, Texas, and you couldn't walk in the schoolhouse or you couldn't walk in the cafeteria if you didn't keep a couple jokes in your back pocket. KP. So I was fine with you dropping your ball, huh?
KP, let me say this, man. I knew absolutely positively nothing about this quote unquote beef or whatever it is between y'all. I knew nothing about this literally until y'all both came on there. Let me say this to you. Quavo loves his basketball, knows his basketball. You a champion. You clearly a paid analyst on this network. You know your basketball, and now it's about us talking basketball. How about that? Are we good?
For sure.
Are we good?
And I just want to say this. I want to say this, though, for real, all jokes aside. It ain't never no beef with Big Perk, man. You know what I'm saying? It's all love, and it was just a bar. And I felt like I put you in the bar. And at the time, you wasn't getting no playing time. And you said your sons like it. And just I tell you what, just squash this. I'm gonna do something for the kids, and tell the kids I'm gonna do something for them. So let's do it to settle this like this. But we're gonna settle this like men, straightforward. Yeah. And that uppercut was the closest thing, because I'm not. We ain't gonna do no internet beef. You know what I mean? So we don't play like that. And I'm from the north side of Atlanta, from the north. You know what I mean? We battle through injuries, we battle through all type of scars and war wounds. So I don't put nothing past you, Big Perk. You do your thing, and I'm here. It's all respect and all love, here, dog.
Yeah, it's all love. Listen, if we had beef, we would have made hamburgers, and either two things would have happened. Either Quavo would have been grilling and he would have been serving triple meats, or I would have been grilling and serving little sliders. That's what would have happened if we would have had beef. It's no beef. It's just a little lip boxing, okay? It's a little lip boxing, and I'm all cool with it. Like I said, when I used to have to walk in the cafeteria and I had them high water pants on because I couldn't afford the long jeans, I had to be ready to clap back at people used to make fun of me. I'm used to it.
We all came from nothing, Big Perk. You know that. We all came from nothing, and we here today. You feel what I'm saying?
And you're both doing your thing. Onward and upward. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Who knew First Take would become Switzerland? Quavo, we appreciate you. Good luck to your Hawks. Big Perk. I'm sure I'll be talking to you tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for the time. Culture 3, it's out tomorrow. All right, gentlemen.
Were you not entertained? That was entertaining.
I wasn't.
You were not entertained?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, I was entertained.
I didn't like it one bit.
Why is that?
Because I don't.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't. I had nothing to do with that. I didn't know anything about it.
Okay. You want to talk the games? Who wins tonight?
Brooklyn will win. I'm sorry. Milwaukee is the only chance of they get swept. So I'm gonna go with Milwaukee tonight, and I'm gonna go with Utah win game 2.
Milwaukee's getting swept. They're not competing. And
getting swept?
Yeah, Milwaukee's getting swept.
Really?
Yeah, it got
You don't
worse.
think he's going to bounce back now, Giannis, after he's hearing all that and being more physical and more aggressive?
It got worse. Game 1, Milwaukee missed open shots. Game